Welcome back to The Edge. The mobile first indexing deadline is gone. How does one's site actually fit into the internet? And it's rolled out. What do we know now? We're discussing November 2021 core updates with Mordy Oberstein. You're listening to News from The Edge for the week of November 29th, 2021 here on Edge of the Web Radio.
From the Edge of the Web studios, here's what we're looking at this week.
This is Edge of the Web. I'm your host, Aaron Sparks, owner of Site Strategics. Every week, we bring you some amazing guests to talk with, as well as Morty.
That was every episode start this way. That's the perfect intro.
There we go.
Now do your whole long spiel about agile, digital, whatever it is we talk about, the digital marketing news desk of Edge of the Web. Blah, blah,
just call the fax number. We'll explain everything there. Each week, we're actually covering all the SEO and digital marketing news here, separate from our weekly interview podcast. So check this out and dial in as we drop it each and every Tuesday, except for when Morty can't do it, and then we do it another day. Yeah, I can't say that because literally the week before.
You know what? Because you're the one who usually switches it on me, and then you switch it like, oh, hey, we're supposed to record in 10 minutes. Let's switch it to 2 o'clock tomorrow, as if I can do 2 o'clock tomorrow.
I never abuse your schedule like that.
You did that last time.
I think Jacob did.
Don't blame Jacob.
He's not coughing anymore.
That's not fair.
He's not coughing anymore. I can blame him now.
Right, he had a paper cut. That's what we're going to do the last episode.
Exactly.
It was the worst. I feel so much better, guys. Thanks. You really make
I don't understand. Jacob, I love you, but you say like 3 lines the whole show. Like, who cares if you're coughing?
That's true. That's why I have the mute button. I stay away.
He was exasperated. So he's a delicate snowflake, Morty. You're just gonna have to take it easy.
Yeah, be nice, man.
I want to hurt anybody's feelings.
So talk about taking it easy. Morty is in the States, in the same country as us, and he didn't stop by. But he's actually relaxing. But besides nature, he's in Baltimore right now, and boy, he just looks so comfortable and low key today. What's going on?
I literally walked in the door from a meeting like 3 minutes before, so I was stressing to freak out. No one's here right now. I'm at my in-laws in Baltimore. And
so you can say anything. You could do like risky business and run around the entire house with like a crystal football.
I'm just gonna sit here and appreciate the fact that my in-laws are not here.
So you had a good vacation, and we missed you.
Right.
Had some news break last week. We talked about entities and all the things happening on the November core algorithm update and brand SERP updates. What you been doing while you've been away?
Let's see. Went to the Jets game. I was in New York with my family for a week, so I went to see the Jets and the Dolphins. That was like watching a high school football game, but it was still technically an NFL game. That was good. Ate a lot of Chinese food, General Tso's chicken. We don't have that in Israel. And that's pretty much it. I've been eating General Tso's chicken and watching football.
So a great meme this weekend. Did you know that George Jetson is going to be conceived this weekend? His birth date is August 27th, 2022.
What?
He said Jets. I went into.
What are you talking about?
I went into Jetsons, the cartoon character. George Jetson was born August 27th, 2022.
And he was named after the New York Jets.
That's where my linkage was, right there.
What?
Seriously.
He's a cartoon.
He's a cartoon, but he had a birthday, and his birthday was August 20th.
And clearly a conception.
Yes, evidently, because that's 9 months prior would be this weekend.
Why do you even know that?
It's on Twitter, so you've got it.
How do you not?
I don't know. I'm not a dork.
I had nowhere to go with sports, so I went to George Jetson. I'm sorry.
It's almost the same.
It pretty much is. All right, let's look at our first article here from Search Engine Roundtable over at Barry Schwartz. Google drops the deadline for mobile first indexing. Google's mobile first indexing deadline is no longer a deadline, and it decided to leave the timeline open for the last steps of mobile first indexing. John Mueller actually said on his company blog there, previously Google postponed the deadline from September 2020 to March 2021, and the deadline came and passed. So what is the mobile first deadline, or what was that deadline, Morty?
I don't remember the actual date. I don't remember.
No.
I mean, so many times.
Well, well, regardless of the date, the mobile first indexing is the imperative
Right,
that
all,
Google's
all
actually.
sites are going to be on the mobile first index by whatever date it was. Again, I don't remember even. I don't even.
It's basically Google saying, "Hey, better get your crap together. If you don't have a mobilely responsive site, you need
right.
to
So then
because
you're right, and or if your content on desktop is wildly different than your content on mobile, that's going to be a major problem for you.
right.
Which is weird. Why would you do that? But
I don't know.
oh, so yeah, I mean, there's a lot of interesting things the mobile first index, and no one really talks about, or I find talk about. I just saw Darth Autocrat, Darth Linden, NA.
Yeah, he's awesome.
The Darth Vader guy.
It's not their names anymore. It's just avatars.
No, because if you look in Search Console, there's a lot of desktop Googlebot crawling you. It's not as mobile or dominant as you would think it is.
Right.
But I think people don't realize is that yeah, you're indexed based on your mobile content, but Google is still looking at desktop elements at the same time. For example, Core Web Vital on desktop.
Yep.
How is there a Core Web Vital factor on desktop in a mobile first index environment? Because they're qualifying desktop, even though it's mobilely indexed first. I said that really poorly. Mobile first index, mobilely indexed first. I don't know how you even say that. Whatever.
That's the case here. Is that desktop spidering in value won't go away. It was an imperative from Google to site owners to make sure you have a responsive site. And if you don't, then you may very well drop in indexing value, right? Doesn't mean you're going to be gone. It's just going to be that your ranking could very well suffer.
Well, yeah, you could be totally gone if you have a really crappy mobile experience, or if you don't have that content on mobile for some reason, which you have to be careful with. You do.
And I bet there's still m.domain.com sites out there for people that literally spun up a mobile site just to think that they could comply with a responsive site. But according to Google added that sites were facing unexpected difficult changes, and we wanted to accommodate their timelines. So Mobilegeddon, when was that? That was about about 6 years ago.
Was it 2020? No, was it 2016?
Yeah.
I'm terrible at dates. You're asking the wrong person.
So Mobilegeddon was there, and literally that was 6 years ago. Let's say that. So for 6 years, your site hasn't been
April 21st, 2015.
2015.
We were so smack in the middle.
Yeah.
Where we said it was.
It's something over there, but it's been almost a decade, right?
Don't ask me my anniversary date either.
Almost a decade, and if you still don't have a mobily responsive website, it's saying more about you as an organization, not even understanding where consumers are, right?
Yeah, I mean, doesn't it technically need to be responsive to be mobile friendly? Like, for example, the RCMSs that are still adaptive, which means which is, by the way, is hard to do at scale. But it does mean you need to check the mobile page and make sure everything is laid out correctly or still there for some reason. Maybe something it didn't transfer over for some Meshuggah reason. Meshuggah is Yiddish for crazy. I realized I just didn't qualify that at all.
No, we have a Mordy Oberstein glossary that we're working on over. Yeah, absolutely.
Nice.
We'll add that one in there.
Yeah, I mean, desktop elements, again, still matter because they're going to be looking at, again, like if you have an intrusive interstitial on desktop and you don't have one on mobile, that's going to be a factor come February, which I'm sure that deadline will be pushed back as well.
Well, they do keep to their deadlines, right? They really don't, except for whenever they announce that they're already doing a core algorithm update. We'll talk about that later, but
yeah.
Anyway,
don't get confused between being index first and desktop elements still mattering.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That's the key point there. All right, so moving on. This is something I wanted to bring to the table here because it was a bit of a weird insight. It's almost like the veil was lifted just a little bit, or at least that's the way I interpreted it. Over at the Search Engine Journal from Roger Monti, Google watches for how sites fit into overall internet visibility. So Google's John Mueller answered a question about how long it takes for Google to recognize a site quality. During the course of answering this question, he mentioned something that bears a little bit more looking into, and that's the concept of how it's important to Google to understand how a website fits into context of the overall internet. Jacob, can you play that snippet right there?
Let's see. Are there any situations where Google negates a site's authority that can't be recovered, even if the cause has been rectified? So assuming the cause was a short team turbulence with technical issues or content changes, how long for Google to reassess the website and fully restore authority, search position, and traffic? Does Google have a memory as such? So for technical things, I would say we pretty much have no memory, in the sense that if we can't crawl a website for a while,
really
or
about,
something goes missing for a while and it comes back,
issue, but this is where it
then
really gets good.
we have that content again. We have that information again. We can show that again. That's something that pretty much picks up instantly again. And this is something that I think we have to have, because the internet is sometimes very flaky, and sometimes sites go offline for a week or even longer, and they come back and it's like nothing has changed, but they fixed the servers. And we have to deal with that. And users are still looking for those websites. I think it's a lot trickier when it comes to things around quality in general, where assessing the overall quality and relevance of a website is not very easy. And it takes a lot of time for us to understand how a website fits in with regards to the rest of the internet. And that means, on the one hand, it takes a lot of time for us to recognize that maybe something is not as good as we thought it was. And similarly, it takes a lot of time for us to learn the opposite again. And that's something that can easily take, I don't know, a couple of months, a half a year, sometimes even longer than a half a year, for us to recognize significant changes in the site's overall quality. Because we essentially watch out for, well, how does this website fit in with the context of the overall web? And that just takes a lot of time.
All right, so wanted to actually get this piece in front of us, in front of our listeners, because I have a question about fitting in. And
You should.
oh God.
I mean, if you go to a Jets game and start talking to people about the Jetsons, it's gonna be hard to fit in.
Yeah, I'm regularly on the island of misfit toys here. See, there's my topical holiday reference, right? But just the concept of a search engine company deciding how it looks at you as opposed to all the other sites and subject matter, and then decides how to include you in that over a period of time. There's a lot of inference of not only quality, but also legitimacy. And are you the right type of content to be included in this? There's a lot of, I dare say, judgment that is being assessed here, or at least inferred. And maybe that's not what John was actually saying, but that kind of raised my antenna up a little bit, going, what's really being said there? Mordy, what was your first take on that?
I'm so happy you included this article. My first take on the article is I'm not really sure what Roger's talking about with links and why there's no such thing as authority. It's a little bit confusing to me. So grain of salt reading the article, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But this is I've been wanting to thread about this topic forever, and I just haven't had the time. Okay. There is a difference between, let's say, like, I don't know, people. Okay, in SEO we talk about topic clusters, right? You build up your topical relevance, blah blah blah, with topic clusters versus site identity.
Right.
Those are not the same thing. We talk a lot about content clusters and not a lot about site identity. But basically, Google is profiling a site, saying, understanding, okay, who are you? What do you do? What do you write about? What is, and you can, if you there's an overlap in terminology between authority, quality, relevancy. Good, strong, qualitative content is authoritative. Quality and authority are an overlap of concepts, right? Conceptually speaking, they're the flip side of each other to a certain extent.
Right.
Google is trying to understand who you are, what are you, and where do you fit into the larger landscape of things? Because when that topic or whatever it is comes up, we'll rank you if you're a good fit for that. So it's important to think about topical, not just topical relevance or topic clusters and all that usual stuff that we think about, but think about it from an identity point of view. Who are you? What do you do? Where do you fit in from a marketing standpoint? Or general standpoint and a life standpoint. This is a basic concept, right? Who are you? What do you do? And who do you serve? It should be something very specific. I have a particular product or service, or if I'm a blog or an informational website,
Right.
a very particular topical focus, because that creates strong identity. It's the same thing for search engines. They want to understand when it comes to the overall scheme of topics or whatever, where do you fit into that? And that's not just, oh, I have a lot of content around a particular topic. It's an overall identity issue.
It really is. And we're seeing more and more brand SERP visibility, the knowledge graph being understood. And we're starting to see from our kind of like an echolocation of seeing more and more knowledge panels come up. So it's understanding brand identity, domain identity, person identity, and the contributors of a particular brand. So we're understanding that factor is also influencing the contextual factor of content ranking.
Relevancy as a concept, conceptually speaking, is about identity. It's not just like, again, it's not just about having a certain layout of topics that you deal with. That helps insofar as that helps create identity.
Yeah.
But relevancy and identity, again, all these concepts are very much related to each other.
No, you're absolutely right. And so deeper in the article, Roger got into authority, got into a number of key factors here. But it was that phrase, fit in, that got my cockles up a little bit, because it was, are we part of the club? Do we have enough relevancy and citations and references to be included into the landscape of content in whatever niche or whatever vertical, we're seeing one of our clients right now that we're seeing a local site that's starting to get actually pulled into national. People also ask references, and it's really weird because it's actually popping like every Monday. All of a sudden there's 40,000 impressions, and then it goes down to what a local amount of impressions would be. So they're kind of being asked to the dance, so to speak. And it's like, all right, we've been able to build up that authority enough and write that content enough that it's now starting to have that level of legitimacy on the national side. But it's almost like this threshold that we're seeing here, they've earned enough value with the content and the citation to be able to be asked to that bigger table, so to speak.
That's a good point. That's a good example. Even like news is a good example. It's not just, oh, I have news content, therefore I rank for news queries. I'm leaving out the whole Google News thing. Just leave it out for a second. You're ranking for news content because your site identity, you are a news site. Therefore, you have news content.
Right.
It's not just, oh, I have news content, therefore I rank. Google has to understand that you are a news site.
And be cited by same citations and other factors that are relevant or corroborators, as Bernard would say, in the news industry. So again, it's not a who's club, but there are now I think what we're seeing is these potential levels that you have to achieve from an identity standpoint to truly earn the ranking with your cluster strategies, right?
Right. And then Google's trying to tell you basically stay in your lane. Whatever it is, and you're going to be very broad. No, like Wikipedia, right? That's a very broad lane because they're an encyclopedic website. So they touch top level information across the board. They don't touch like really specific, really deep information, let's say. I don't know, maybe they do, maybe they don't. But by focusing on identity and understanding that relevancy and identity are mutually related concepts, Google's basically saying you need to have a strong identity in order to rank, means that you have to have a strong focus, which means you stay in your lane. We're basically forcing you to stay in your lane because that makes sense for users, right?
Yep.
Google wants to serve very specific content to users so they have exactly what they want. The best way to do this is to serve it from a site that's what they do.
I love it. Stay in your lane. And I don't want to put words in John Mueller's mouth. He's a great friend of the show, but it was an odd take on this, and he was referring to technical issues and how sites bounce back from technical issues, but evaluation of quality of content, right? And maybe it was just a matter of speech, but I do think that there's more to it than with what.
No, I don't think there's a matter. I think there's something to it, and I think we need to get off this idea that these things don't exist.
Right.
and it's all about whatever particular factors or links. It's all authority is all about links. Really?
Nope.
No.
It's brand, it's identity, it's knowledge graph. It's how Google understands you and how you contribute into the ecosystem. So you're right. Whatever swim lane you're in, if you're trying to get that additional value, then you have to understand where the other fish are swimming and how they're creating more and more valuable content that ultimately gets used for Google's SERP features as opposed to on your own website. Sorry, just had to go there too. All right. We want to make sure that you know who our title sponsor is. We're proud to have Site Strategics as a continued sponsor of Edge of the Web. We're pioneers in the agile digital marketing methodology. Our core specialties revolve around technical SEO and content SEO, including as well as core web vitals, search engine marketing, social media, conversion rate optimization is all focused on results-based agile marketing that works. So if you're interested in what we can do for you, give us a shout at the working toll-free number of 877 SEO for Web or 877-736-4932. Yeah, you better believe I'm tracking down when that got flipped over, by the way.
5 years ago.
Somebody mute that guy.
If you want me to audit any other part of your site or business, I'm here.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
We'll take you up on it. Hey, go check out our 404 page over on Edge of the Web, by the way. see how we're doing there.
Well, I got to see. I never looked at it.
Oh, you never? Oh,
trolling
yes, you
that?
have. Yes, you have.
Yeah.
Yeah, just do edgeofthewebradio.com/XYZ. See what comes up there. There we go.
Did you really? Did you really? You have a picture of me saying you're lost. That's good.
Yeah.
I like that. That's next level right there.
He doesn't remember the 404 show, does he?
That wasn't there.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, we did it.
We couldn't submit our own.
No,
we would have won.
Yeah, exactly.
So
That's great. I got to tweet that.
All right. We won't mute Mordy on this particular article because it actually was written by him. It comes from Semrush explaining Google's November 2021 core update. So after about 4 months without any core updates, Google announced in November 2021 broad core update algorithm updates on November 17th. So that was from Google Search Console as well as supported by Danny Sullivan, Google liaison. While Google actually itself confirmed that, as usual, says Mordy, we should give them a little bit of an update this week to fully roll out. Now we're hearing that has actually fully rolled out, but I'm not going to pitch this article because we got the purveyor of this article on the show. Tell us what we should know about the impact, the initial impact of the core 2021 update here.
You know, I got a lot of flack for this article at
You
home.
did?
Yeah, because so the update rolled out the day I went on vacation. I'm like, oh no, like the worst timing.
Yeah. We were wondering where you were there.
Yeah. So we land in the States. It's Sunday. I have to write this article. Thank you to the Semrush team for helping me write it, put it all together. I just really appreciate that. And my brother-in-law was like, what are you doing? I'm like, how to work? He's like, what's going on? There's an algorithm update. He goes like, is this an SEO emergency? I'm like, yeah. So for the entire week, he made fun of me like, oh, you have another SEO emergency going on?
That's funny.
So the interesting about this one was the mobile data. That there were the drastic difference between desktop and mobile, which is usually not the case. There was a lot of movement, more movement on mobile versus desktop. So hey, careful if you think, hey, my rankings look good on desktop. Check it out on mobile. I would love to dive deeper into this update to see what happened on the page level, but just top level, I've been on vacation. I'm sorry. By the way, I think Glenn Gabe has a cool case study coming out, so keep an eye out for that.
But first and foremost, we are seeing more volatility in this update than we have for the entire year.
So this is way bigger than July. June, July were weird updates,
Yeah.
obviously, because they split them in half for some particular reason. What you saw, I remember looking there. I did look at the page level. What was actually, and it's hard to pull anything out. What's going on here? It was a very odd update. This is behaving more like your typical core update, which makes sense because they didn't split it. Nothing weird was going on. It's your average rollout, except the fact that it's rolling out really quickly. There was a couple of tremors here and there. That's always going to happen. But the initial rollout was 1 day. similar to what happened back in July. So maybe that's a new pattern. Maybe it's not. We'll have to keep an eye on that. But that's interesting to see if it is. And what that means about what Google's doing within machine learning, how quickly they'll be able to adjust on the fly now. Not on the fly, but how quickly they're able to adjust.
Right. And
But
we're still going to be anticipating some reversals as well, which is a pattern with.
And you'll have the baby algorithm updates that come after this, maybe moving you or retesting thing and reversing you a little bit, then reversing you back. That's typical behavior. But it's also important to realize that, hey, look, like I know there's drastic movement, like in this particular update relative to July. So Google pulled in more URLs from beyond page 2, beyond position 20, than they did in the July update.
Got it. So just for the layperson listening, if you were ranking 20, second page, third page, and what have you, there's more of those second and third pagers that have been pulled into the top 10 than July and June. Have we looked back further on other core updates?
No, I didn't look back. I didn't look back further.
Okay.
Sorry.
No worries. Hey, I know you're on vacation. You kind of mailed it in here, but it's all right.
I didn't look back further. But however, top 5 is not the case.
Yeah.
There in July, a greater percentage of URLs in the top 5 came from beyond position 20. So now, what does that mean? I damn if I know. But it could mean that Google is trying to test. Okay, we pull you in the top 10 from page 3, page 4. Let's see how this goes. Let's maybe make some adjustments. Maybe move you up into the top 5. It could be that Google's like, this is a test. We'll pull you back into the page, page 40 wherever we were before.
Sure. So what do you think they're actually testing? Again, supposition only, but what do you think they're actually testing? They're certainly testing.
I think they're testing if the result is if the change they made did what they intended it to do, or the intended purpose was.
And watching click-through traffic, watching interactions with these websites.
Well, I don't know. I don't think they're looking at click-through rates in particular.
Yeah.
Right, because they don't use it as a ranking factor per se.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, sorry. But I think they do assess the outcome of the algorithm, I think, more holistically than just that.
Sure.
Saying, okay, like what's here, what's that, what did this do? Because I don't think they know exactly what it did, because it's all machine learning. So you have to assess afterwards what happened. You need to roll back or not. It could be that they're not there. Again, I'm speculating. Is it a lack of confidence? We don't want to put you into the top 5, put you in the top 10. We're not sure what this is going to do exactly. Is that just part? Is that inbuilt? Is that part of how the machine learning is functioning here? Right. It's part of the process. Page 10, readjust. See if you go to page 5. I'm going to top 5 or pull you back to where you came from before. I don't know, but it's really interesting.
Got it.
Keep an eye out, because I'm curious to see what happens to those URLs who are in the top 10 now that came from beyond page 2, and what happens to them in the next month or 2.
Now, you also showcased 5 industries that had a higher volatility rate, much higher than the previous. So
health was back, which again is a very core updatey thing to do. Is that how we're going to refer to this now?
That's absolutely. Yeah. That is a colloquialism. It's core updating.
But the health niche, being that it's the YMYL, in my personal opinion, it's the epitome of YMYL.
Yeah, absolutely.
Got hit way harder than it did back in July. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to dive in and see. I mean, look, on average, you're talking, I know we talk about drastic movement with core updates, but on average, you're talking sites moving, either gaining or losing 3 positions. On the sites pages, I'm sorry, gaining or losing 3 positions.
So that's on average the movement, but
that's right. So a lot of the movement that you see in an update is you go up or down a couple of positions, 4 or 5 positions, 2 or 3 positions, whatever it is. That is, I think that gets lost when we talk about core updates, because we're always talking about that drastic movement.
Sure.
But there's a lot of smaller movement, which, by the way, could be a big deal. If you're ranking number 4 before, and now you're ranking number 1, or now you're ranking number 7, and now you're ranking number 3, that is a big, big deal.
Absolutely. I think the biggest takeaway is what you mentioned earlier, is how many URLs saw that impactful position shift, around 16% of new URLs that were not there moving into the top 20.
Which I didn't track, my bad. I didn't track that during July.
It's all.
So I don't know what, I don't know.
Evolving.
I just revamped these metrics when I started at Semrush. So Give me a break
He
here.
was throwing all sorts of crap around. He got there and started to make all the different changes.
No, you don't like getting on my case. I don't like this. I don't want to get abused. That's why I'm married.
All right. Well, what final takeaways? What takeaways should our listeners? What should they be looking at? Because you're right. There's averages. We're talking about 3-point, 4-point type of movements here. What should they be paying attention to? One, they should not freak out. That's for damn sure.
Well, one is you see how it plays out. Don't forget, you can get. It's a long game, and that's on the positive side also. What you won today might not be there in another couple of weeks.
Yeah, exactly.
But I always say look at the page level. I mean, this analysis is great. It's really helpful to help understand what's going on as an ecosystem. But as a strategy, you should be looking at what pages went down on my site. Is there a commonality between them? Is it maybe it's a certain topic? Right. And what pages replace them on the SERP?
And that's what you really should be paying attention to for your own strategy, your own competition. You got to know who's in the top 20 SERPs. And
what's Google looking for?
Absolutely.
And what do I need to do? Like, if I'm missing this, maybe I should now add this to my content. Because fundamentally, it's about good content with the core updates.
Yeah, absolutely right.
Which is, again, I have no insights here because I've been on vacation. Again, I'm sorry. I usually do look at page level patterns. I have a whole back end tool at Semrush for this, but I haven't had a chance.
Yeah, we'll just start pulling in Glenn Gabe's report so we can.
No, Glenn Gabe is. Hey, now you're marrying up when you talk about Glenn Gabe.
No, he's awesome, and check him out. He's posting in LinkedIn and Twitter regularly. But it's a good article, man. It gives us a good picture of what's happening and what we should also be paying attention to. Not only marketers, but also individual business owners. You got to know the topography, where you are. It's not just about your rank. It's about the ranks of the other competitors and what's different between those websites, those URLs. And if there's a shift there, put together the pattern in your own assessment of what's common of those URLs that just moved past you. And perhaps you want to learn from that, right?
Yep. To go full circle, I wrote this article in my sister's basement, hiding from my family on a Sunday morning before the Jets game. Full circle right there.
There it is, right there. Wow, I mean that's worth the price of admission to begin with, right?
I think so. Wow. It was an SEO emergency.
It was an SEO emergency.
I'm going to go ahead and say we need to get some sort of light in all of our offices. And we can be like the SEO super friends, and we can have it flash and be like, "Oh yeah,
it's an SEO emergency." Oh, okay.
I'll work on that.
I can see that happening. You know what? It's not an emergency. We actually see Andy Drinkwater hosting the SEO chat topic in Twitter chat Thursday at 1 p.m. That's going to be fantastic.
You stole my thunder there. That was good.
Sucked it all away.
Ask what topic we're covering.
SEO emergencies.
I have no idea. I just got back from vacation. Give me a break.
Oh my God.
So we need to assemble the SEO super friends to determine the topic, is what I'm hearing you say.
Oh,
I'll
send out the call.
Someone go on Twitter and ask Andy.
Yeah, let's do that right now. What are we talking about? We're recording a podcast.
I got to promote it. Because usually I promote in the afternoon my time, but the afternoon my time is morning your time. But now it's afternoon time for both of us, and I've totally botched my timing.
It's okay. You've been on vacation.
I've been on vacation. Give me a break.
All right. Well, any final words for anybody who gets into vacation and can't seem to find their way out?
Yeah. Make sure that your phone number is not really a fax number.
Oh,
yep.
He did that.
Well, you trolled me on the 404 page.
It's working now. Trust me.
The thing I miss most of being away is trolling. Who am I going to troll? My family? I troll my father-in-law. That's a good one.
That never pays off well.
I do troll my father-in-law by drinking his booze when he's sleeping at night.
Dude, yeah, he's actually literally taking pictures of Sam Adams and it's probably his father-in-law, Sam Adams.
No, that was at my sister's Thanksgiving. I haven't had it. There's no Sam Adams in Israel. I love Sam Adams.
There you go. Okay, so so not only do we have to ship him coffee.
Sam Adams.
Oh, you can ship me Sam Adams. I'll be your friend forever.
And then Cards Against Humanity booster packs.
Cards Against Humanity booster packs. What's that?
Hit me up on Twitter. My DMs are open. Want to ship me some Sam Adams?
We should have a GoFundMe for Morty just to send him some Sam Adams there. And your favorite Cards Against Humanity card, guys.
I didn't even know that existed. I don't even know what this is.
Oh, send it to him. Send it to him. Anybody who's at this stage of the show.
I understand what this is and what kind of like derogatory behavior you're referring to here.
Oh, it could be terrible, or it could be beautiful.
I'm only afraid that if we give Morty Cards Against Humanity, the next show will be him just reading those cards as he sees fit to respond to the episode, like the news.
Yep.
I'm not responding because I don't know what this is.
It's probably better that you don't know.
That's why it would work so well.
I feel like you're trying to hurt my feelings, but I don't care.
No, you're back from vacation. We would never do that. All right. Hey, that's it for news this week. Say bye, Morty.
Say bye, Morty.
There we go. If you liked the first part of the Darren Shaw interview about local SEO ranking factors, stay tuned to the second part. It's going to be dropping this week. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel when it gets updates and we post our videos on a regular basis. From all of us over at Edge of the Web, stay safe, stay well, and do not be a piece of cyber driftwood. We will talk to you next week. Bye-bye.